Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Rutherford County School Board Work Session, November 14th. Call this meeting to order. Welcome to everyone. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Board Member Mr. Terry Holliday. That's the Aaron Holliday, I believe.
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Holliday. A couple of reminders, Board. First of all, we've got some mail due to the Tennessee School Board Association. Please mail that by this Friday if you haven't already done so. Also, you should have on your desk a discipline packet which has two discipline summaries there. They're pretty extensive, as you know, and just be sure that you've got both of those when you leave tonight. We will be discussing those tomorrow night. Any comment on the agenda or the consent agenda? Anybody need anything moved or anything? If not, okay, we're going to alter just a little bit here. We'll have a spotlight on education, of course, tomorrow night. If you would skip 8 and 9 for now and go to page 5, and Mr. Sandy has another meeting that he has got to attend, and he has requested on financial matters, tab 3, and it's on page 5 of your paperwork there. Mr. Sandy, please.
You want me to read it?
Yes, whatever you'd like to do.
Okay, financial matters on, again, tab 3, the general purpose school budget fund budget amendment. This general purpose school fund budget amendment amends $123,926 in 2015-2016 donation from the unassigned fund balance, $66,812 from unassigned fund balance in order to fund the balance of a liquidated 2015-2016 cable purchase order for John Coleman School, $103,015 in Newton revenues, and the $293,753 in expenditures that match the intent of the donation's liquidated purchase order or new revenues. From unassigned fund balance, $20,369 will go to Virtual Enterprise Vocational Program, $11,298 from the Jennings Jones Foundation for the Spectrum Program, $6,509 in donations for the Rutherford County Schools Clothing Fund, $85,750 Coordinated School Health Grant from Ascension, $66,812 for John Coleman Cabling Purchase Order, which is a total of $190,738 from unassigned fund balance. The new revenues are $21,000 Coordinated School Health Grant for walking tracks, $6,500 in donations for Rutherford County School Children's Clothing Fund, $14,801 Staff Development Grant through Metro Schools. That was for mathematics training, what that was for. $60,714 federal funds through state for high-cost special education, $103,015 in new revenues. Recommended approval. The motion is to amend 2016-2017 General Purpose School Fund budget by $123,926 in 2015-16 donations from unassigned fund balance, $66,812 from unassigned fund balance in order to fund the balance of a liquidated 2015-16 cabling purchase order for John Coleman School, and $103,015 in new revenues, and the $293,753 in new expenditures that match the intent of the donation's liquidated purchase order or new revenues as presented. Much of this was things that came in, and you understand this, of course, was budgeted. If it's not spent at the end of the 15-16 school year, it rolls in ending fund balance. When I was the other night at the Budget and Finance of the county, they were doing the same thing with other departments. Monies that came in at the end of last year, putting it back where it was originally intended to be, where the donation was made for, or the revenue was. So it's just really aligning, once again, what it was originally for in 15-16. the majority of that. There is some few new things like the math with Metro Schools. That was part of some integrated math. It was a grant applied for the Middle Tennessee kind of area. Our teachers attended part of that workshop along with teachers from other districts and all, and they received some stipend funds for that. And so this is just putting that in the category where we can pay them.
Questions for the director or Mr. Sandy? Okay. Hearing none, we'll go back to 7, Spotlight on Education. Tomorrow night will be what is 504, the update on Rutherford County Chamber of Commerce, workforce development. That was at their request.
It
Mr.
is.
Odom, you want to comment on that at all?
Well, it's a very active workforce development, of course, trying to align with what business and industry is seeking employees for in Rutherford County. And Miss Beth Duffield and Paul Lawson do a really good job of this. And so they kind of want to give you an update of programs that are now in place with our career and technical education plan. That's what this is associated with. So.
Okay. Number 9.
Number 9 is facilities. Christiana Elementary School baseball concrete project. Dr. Crystal Hastings, principal of Christiana Middle School, has requested permission to place concrete at the baseball field in the bleacher and concession stand areas. There will be a fenced storage area that will be utilized by both baseball and softball. The project is 2,350 square feet of concrete and 60 linear feet of fencing. The concrete placement will be provided by Summit Concrete. The cost of the project is approximately $7,000 and will be funded by fundraisers and donations at no cost to the board. The motion is to recommend approval. Motion to approve concrete and fence work at Christiana Middle School baseball field. The fenced-in storage area will be used for both softball and baseball, and this project will be completed at no cost to the board. This is similar to what they've done last few months at Whitworth Buchanan. Ms. Moore, you know that they poured that concrete. This is very similar to that same project.
Questions? Part B.
Part B is Collier Engineering Materials Testing Fee Proposal. Collier Engineering has submitted a fee proposal for testing services. Rutherford County Schools Engineering and Construction Department has 4 major projects under construction and is in need of geotechnical and concrete testing services. Collier has worked with us on several projects and has always provided quality services in a timely manner. A schedule of fees is attached for the board's review. And again, this is a professional service. Recommend approval of the motion to approve Collier Engineering and their schedule of fees for use on our ongoing construction project. This is a professional service.
Comments, questions, board?
To people that are listening to us on TV or YouTube, whatever, we have to check the concrete before you put walls up, the footing, the foundation, that it meets the standards that's required for strength. And so that's what this is professional testing to meet the strength of those concrete areas.
If there's nothing, let's go to the always popular policies.
Okay. And this is for second and final reading. So number 11, policy 3.210, naming of new facilities. The purpose of this revision is to revise the language in the policy to accurately reflect the chairman of the board, not the director, appoints a committee to make recommendations for the naming of new schools. Policy 1.402, notification of meetings. Purpose of this revision is to revise the language in the policy to accurately reflect that meeting notices are currently posted on the district website. Policy 1.403 is agendas. The purpose of this revision is to revise the language in the policy to eliminate the section entitled Annual Agenda. And policy 1.406, minutes, to revise the language of the policy to accurately reflect that minutes are currently posted on the district website. Policy 1.200, method of election of officers. Purpose of this revision is to revise the language in the policy to eliminate the portion requiring the board to nominate a Tennessee Legislative Network representative at the first regular meeting in September, and clarifying that the director will preside over the meeting until a new chairman is elected. Policy 2.200, Annual Operating Budget. Purpose of this revision is to revise the policy to reflect new legal requirements regarding budget timelines. Graduation requirements, policy 4.605. Purpose of this revision is to revise the policy to comply with new legal requirements regarding students taking a U.S. civics test and addressing statutory requirements for early graduation. Policy 6.413, prevention and treatment of sports-related concussions. Purpose of this revision is to revise the policy to comply with new legislation listing physician's assistants as healthcare providers that may evaluate and provide clearance for return to athletics. Policy 1.407, school board records. Purpose of this revision is to revise the policy to meet legal requirements that the name or title and the contact information of the individual designated as the public records coordinator be included in the policy. And policy 6.304, student discrimination, harassment, bullying, cyberbullying, and intimidation. Purpose of this revision is to revise the policy to include the definition of harassment. So the motion will be to provide the revision of policies 3.210, 1.402, 1.403, 1.406, 1.200, 2.200, 4.605, 6.413, 1.407, and 6.304 on second and final reading as recommended by the Policy Committee.
Reminding those that might be watching on however you're watching, that the entire school board is a member of the Policy Committee along with 7 other people. The director attends. Ms. McLeod is in charge of keeping us up to date with other laws and changing our policies. We have already had one reading of this. This is our second and final one, and we are, I think, thoroughly familiar with this, but there may be questions, and are there any? If not, we'll vote on those tomorrow night. Student discipline appeals, Mr. Director.
You have 2 student disciplinary appeals, and they're A and B, so I'll read one of them. This is our process. The board has been requested to review the November 4th, 2016 decision of the Disciplinary Hearing Authority to uphold the remandment of a student from Smyrna High School to Smyrna West Alternative School. This review is pursuant to the provisions of Policy 6.317. The policy states the board shall review disciplinary hearing authority record and shall, 1, affirm the decision of the disciplinary hearing authority, or 2, overturn the decision of the disciplinary hearing authority, or 3, modify the decision of a disciplinary hearing authority to a lesser penalty, except in cases of zero tolerance violations, or 4, grant a second hearing, which would be before the board, or 5, deny a request for a board hearing. You have a second request. This one happens to be, the wording is the same, except this is a disciplinary hearing to uphold the remandment for a student from Eagleville School to Daniel McKee Alternative School. The options remain the same under state law. This is the options that we have.
Okay, it's our task to read those tonight and decide on one of those 5 for each of those tomorrow night.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I noticed the third option there, modify the decision of the DHA to a lesser penalty except in cases of zero tolerance violations. And it may be that this is specific to zero tolerance violations, but it has always been my understanding that as a board member, what I'm really looking for is some type of impropriety in the process, as opposed to really judging the facts and merits of the case. If it's my desire to get into the facts and merits of the case, then I would be moving in the direction of grant a second hearing, which would be before the board, and move in that direction. But our discussion in the board meeting tomorrow night, were there to be any discussion, is along the lines of, has the process been executed correctly? Having stated that, that's my understanding. Could I ask Mr. Reed if he could kind of speak to or confirm if that is indeed a correct understanding?
Your basic understanding is correct, but the board does have all the options that are available to you that were listed there. So to the extent you want to modify the decision, you can modify the decision. If you have questions tomorrow night about the procedure or what has happened and taken place previously, Ms. McLeod can address those with you.
Okay.
But ultimately, the board has full authority to make any of those recommendations that you've got before you.
I guess I've always seen what we'll see tomorrow night as a rather limited scope. If I wanted to get into the actual blow-by-blow occurrences, then I would move in the direction of that second hearing
If
type.
you want to get into a fact-finding type of matter, then a hearing might be more appropriate.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Any other comments? 13.
13 is for information only. Based upon our policy 1.108, nepotism, Scott Moore is to be employed by Rutherford County Schools at Buchanan Elementary School. They have sent in an employment recommendation for Scott Moore.
Comments? Okay, that brings us to 14, and I added this to the agenda this morning, midday, I guess, with Ms. Michaels, because this is a time-sensitive thing, and I think our principals and our football coaches need some sort of guidance from us as to how we might feel about this. And they have certainly let me know how they feel about it. And you may have gotten some emails as well, I don't know. The essential discussion is this. We have had a request to at least consider having our football teams in 6A, and that's everybody but Eagleville, to play each other every year. Now, what has happened is this. If you haven't kept up, and there's really not necessarily a reason why you should. But the TWSAA has split our schools. They have sent Smyrna, Stewart's Creek, and Laverne to another district, another region, and they have kept Siegel, Blackman, Oakland, Riverdale, along with Coffee County and Cookeville and Warren County in the same district as well. Joining Smyrna and Stewart's Creek and Laverne are some schools in Nashville, and frankly, I've forgotten who all it is. Antioch is one of them. Cane Ridge,
McGavock, and Overton.
McGavock and Overton, okay. Now, the problem, which we may or may not want to address, entirely up to y'all, is that leaves 4 games for each school to fill. They can fill them with 6 of them with their own district members, and that leaves 4 holes in their schedule, and then they have to go out and look for games, and that is a problem. It always is a problem. Right now, I don't want to get too deep into this conversation, maybe before you all have plenty of opportunity to comment, but today, at this moment, it's a particular problem for Blackman and Oakland. They make telephone calls, but they're not returned. That probably wouldn't surprise you. It's all about winning. I don't know that certainly used to be true at Riverdale. They make calls and nobody called them back. But they have asked that we at least consider requiring the 7 schools in our county, 6A, to play each other every year, and that's what I'm not proposing we do that or not do it. It's now your turn. They do need an answer, by the way, at least, although we're under no requirement to give them one, but they are right now, probably as I speak, working on next year's schedule. As incredible as that may be, it is true. 3 weeks before, because everybody's through with Blackman and Oakland. But even Blackman and Oakland are working on next year's schedule. And they need to know whether they're going to be required to play each other or not. As far as I know, no one's made a request that it apply to other sports.
Laverne, they have been 5A. Are we moving back to 6A?
Yes,
Is
sir.
that what you're sharing?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I didn't preface that, and so Stewart's Creek.
This will be the 17 season will be both of their first year at 6A level.
That is my understanding.
Well, it's a return for Laverne,
Right.
so it's Stewart's Creek first year at 6A.
Is that threshold at 1,800 or 2,000?
I don't know the number. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But it is based on student population.
It is.
That's cool.
Mr. Hodge?
Yeah, how do all the coaches feel? You talk to most of them, or?
Well, okay, I don't know that I'm, well, gosh, they told me, some of them did. I haven't talked to some of them. I think it's, and please, if you've talked to any of them, please say so. I know some of you have. Now, maybe you don't want to say anything, but I know some of you have. To answer Mr. Hodges' question, Oakland definitely wants us to do this. They want to play everybody in the county. Riverdale wants everybody to play, and everyone in the county. Siegel does not. They want to be left to their own devices. So does Laverne. And Mr. Blair, I believe you said you talked to Smyrna, but you and I didn't share any information. How, am I right? Did you talk to Smyrna?
Smyrna would like to make their own decision.
So the only people we haven't heard from directly would be Stewart's Creek and Blackman. Am I right on that?
I've heard from Blackman.
You've heard from Blackman. What was their general
They
feeling?
want to play everybody in the county.
They do want to play everybody in the county.
And like you said, Siegel doesn't want to.
Right, right. I just talked to Mr. Creasy not an hour ago. It's
How about
difficult.
Stewart's Creek?
Sir,
You
I
said
haven't heard from him. Don't know.
Mr. Odom, have the principals met and talked
The
about it?
principals actually meet tomorrow for their PLC. You know, we can toss it out there and see what they think. I mean, they probably talked with their coaches. It looks like it's gonna be divided. I mean, I think.
Maybe you could come back tomorrow night and advise us what,
I think, what I was thinking about doing, if they have their principals meeting tomorrow, if they are strongly one way or the other, they may need to come in and address you as a visitor. They may need to do that. Mr. Hodge raised his hand.
I was just gonna say, correct me if I'm wrong, but just 2 years ago, I guess, they all played each other, didn't they? I mean, Laverne, Stewart's Creek, they all played the rest of it. Everybody played just like what we're talking about now. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct. Before Laverne and Stewart's Creek went into 5A, I believe you're correct on that.
They all played at that time anyway.
when they were all in the same region, they all played. Yes.
When they went to 6A, and I say went to 6A, when Laverne dropped out of 6A, there was a rework of the state playoff circumstances, and one of the comments that I remember was everybody in 6A just made the state playoffs, just the nature of the beast. With additional teams going back into 6A and things of that nature, will that continue to hold true?
No. They have changed the playoff system, and I think the last 2 years, Ms. Todd, you help me out here, I believe the top 32 6A schools went, and he's right, Laverne dropped out, and of all people, Maryville moved up. And I believe that's the way it's been for 2 years or 4, 2, isn't it?
2, I think.
Well, that ends. So what you're saying is, essentially, is that now, instead of being assured of a playoff spot, even though it may not be one of the best playoff spots,
Right.
and because of how you finish, you're not going to have that assured anymore. So there's going to be other requirements, like winning, for instance. I mean, the truth of the matter is, if Riverdale had gone 0-10 this year, they would have been in the state playoffs. As incredible as that may sound,
Because there are only 32 teams
Exactly.
in 6A.
exactly. The other levels all had things to fight through, but not 6A.
Stewart's Creek and Laverne going back in, now there'll be at least 34.
No, they're going to, no. I think there'll still be 32. And some of them won't make it. It's not going to be automatic, that's what I'm saying.
In 6A. There'll be at least 34 teams in 6A, but only 32 of them will make the playoffs.
No, I don't think so. The bottom two, whoever that may be in enrollment, will drop out. They're in other levels.
So if you're 6A, you still make the playoffs?
No.
I don't understand.
I'm confused.
Right now, they do. But
Yeah, right now they do.
Next year, they won't do it that way.
Right, they're not going to do that.
All right, what are they going to do next year?
Okay, now, I don't know all the new rules and regulations, but they're going to have districts, and you're going to have to finish near the top of that district to get in the playoffs. That's what it used to be. Top four win. Well, for a long time, it was.
I think the real issue is right now is the traveling part of it.
Right.
How far they have to travel to find a game. You know, because what, a lot of the, if you want to say local teams, you know, surrounding counties, they, you know, like I said, playing Rutherford County schools, I think they're having trouble scheduling, you know, something close by. I mean, that's why they're going to Chattanooga, Knoxville, and those areas.
We've had situations, and Mr. Hodges is exactly right. We've had situations where teams have had to schedule teams that were not on their level. They've gone down and played even not just 5A, but 4A and even 3A schools on some occasions. I know Oakland went to Haywood County, which is Brownsville, which is like 200 miles. Last year they played Haywood here. I was there. There wasn't anybody there except Oakland fans. They had no gate. They went to Arlington. That was last year. That's another 200 miles right outside of Memphis. Gosh, Riverdale's been to Ohio, Kentucky. Smyrna went to South Haven, Mississippi.
About 6 years ago.
Yeah. And so that kind of thing means a meal, and it means bus rides, and means problems for the band, and all that kind of stuff. So money is part of it, but I think maybe a major issue is here, and I'm not going to even come close to revealing how I think I might eventually vote on this, but we are micromanaging, telling a principal and a coach who they can play, and we're scheduling for them. I think that's a downside to this, but I really would like to hear more opinion on this before we get to tomorrow night. I think we have to let them know. Now, Mr. Odom's going to come back with some opinions maybe, but
Chairman.
we already have 3 coaches that are against it, and we only got 7. I mean, go ahead.
I asked Mr. Taggett, since he was our county athletic director, if he would come and share his thoughts with us too.
You've already talked to him.
Well, I texted him and asked him, requested his presence tomorrow night.
We hear our athletic director's opinion.
I'm just wondering if this really is a school board issue, if it's not something the coaches and the principals need to get together and figure out on their own, make the decision, and we'll support them. I don't know why we're being drugged in the middle of this.
Well, all I can say is that I was asked
Yeah.
to do this, and so, not me personally, but I was asked to bring it up to the board. It would take a board vote to mandate who they play.
I just think it's something they should be able to work out.
It doesn't change any of the other sports, is my understanding. Our basketball has remained the same for decades, and it will again. Laverne and Riverdale, all of them be in the same district. We're just talking football here.
What would it be like if we removed it from the agenda tonight.
And decide later or not decide at all? I don't
As,
care.
as,
I'm just-
as Mr. Young says, we have discussion about it in our work session and say, you know what? That's not a board issue. I've got a PLC tomorrow. Work on that.
Well, here's what I would suggest. Since we can't take a vote tonight, I don't believe I can do that. I can't remove it, so, but Mr. Young, since he just spoke, or you just spoke, can certainly have it removed and tabled tomorrow night, if that's what you want to do, and we'll just won't take any action on it. Am I okay there? Which, we can wait till tomorrow night to do that. We have to.
I have no problem with them bringing their case to us. I mean, if they want to come up here and talk to us. I really think they need to talk amongst themselves and try to work this out.
Well, they're gonna be together tomorrow. You're gonna talk to them tomorrow. Athletic director will be here tomorrow night. If anybody wants to talk to this board can do so. And then, if somebody wants to remove it, we can remove it. And just not make a decision. Not, I think to use Mr. Young's words, we're not gonna consider this. That's for y'all to decide.
Well, I guess what you're saying is that we can't remove it from the agenda tonight?
I don't think so. Mr. Reed? Thank you.
Well, the agenda's already set, so the agenda's already come out and been published. So the agenda is what it is. So it will be on the agenda for tomorrow night. If the board is inclined to table it, and you don't have to take any action. So if you choose not to take any action tomorrow, you can just move to table it tomorrow night and not take any action on it.
I guess I just consider us still to be in a work session, and I mean, not to belabor the point, but I just, at 7:30 this morning, it wasn't on the agenda. At some point during the day, it got placed on the agenda, and this is our work session to think about the agenda, and the first thing we do is approve the agenda. The agenda's not approved yet. I kind of feel like that we could remove it from the agenda, but I won't continue to fight that fight.
Well, the agenda has now been published.
Okay.
Has been sent out.
All right.
So that's different than it was this morning. So it's now been published.
One thing thank you, that Mr. Young said here, and if we don't do anything, if we don't consider this, that doesn't stop a school that might not want to play everybody from scheduling one of these teams if they want to. It wouldn't stop them from doing that. They can do what they want. They can play all of them if they want to. But we're just not going to mandate it.
That's the part I'm having trouble with, is us mandating.
Yeah, I understand. I'm not saying I don't share that. I've got a problem with that too. I've also got a problem with them traveling all over the country trying to find games. And also this runs in cycles. I mean, Oakland's had poor teams before. Riverdale's had poor teams, and everybody dying to play. Everybody wants to play when you're 2-8, but when you're 10-0 and going to the next round, your phone never rings. Amazing how that is. Okay. Anything on insurance?
I think they haven't met yet.
No.
I think I'm correct. Is it tomorrow or sometime this week or sometime? Ms. Barnes is a recruiting thing, and
Okay, director's update.
really nothing much tonight. Supposedly, the state was to release district and school level end of course summaries from last year sometime this week. Have not received any additional updates. But, a couple of weeks ago, they were saying it probably would be released the week of the 14th. Heard nothing else.
Okay. Number 17, Ms. Moore?
Mr. Chairman, nothing to report this evening. I'm going to put a request for some items to be placed on the agenda for us to have more conversation about Tennessee legislation in our next board meeting, which I believe is Monday, December the 5th.
Okay, fair enough.
You getting any responses back?
I do know that Representative Tracy had told me personally that he had it on his calendar and that he planned to be there, so.
Terry, you meant.
Terry, I'm sorry, yes.
And Senator Tracy spoke with me and that he had it on his calendar. And so,
Mr. Campbell said he had talked to Senator Tracy and that he thought that he was going to be able to make it, so all that sounds good. And we got plenty of time. It's not till the 13th or 12th it is, 12th, December 12th. Okay, Mr. Holliday, 18?
since we last met, there was an election. One of the things that has come from that is discussion that the junior senator from the state of Tennessee may be considered for an appointment in the next administration's cabinet. If that were to be the case, our governor has made a public comment that he would consider the appointment of his replacement as a placeholder until the people could vote and select the senator that they truly wanted. I thought that that comment was interesting and noteworthy, and I'll share that with the board.
In the world, we had an election. Who won that? Oh, okay, maybe I did know. Number 19, general discussion by board members. Anything else that anyone would like to bring up?
It may be tomorrow evening that I have to step away. There is a Tennessee Promise meeting at Blackman High School that my son needs to be at, and I may end up stepping away to be there. My regrets to the board if that is the case, with very important and notable things on the agenda. So my regrets if that does indeed turn out to be the case.
Any other discussion? Young.
Going back to the playgrounds, I missed this earlier. Are we in good shape on all the playgrounds? Will this put us in good shape for all the elementary schools?
No, those are getting close to the end of their life, so we're having to put a few in capital improvements every year now to try to get those replaced. I expect it'll take 3 years or so to get them all up to par.
Well, we're getting towards, that soft surface we put in with ARA funds a few years ago when we got the special monies, is kind of getting towards the end of some of its life cycle. Isn't that what you're running into, some of it?
It is, and we're having more and more trouble repairing them. So we're going to try these 3 new playgrounds with a special rubber mat that grass grows through, and so that we won't have to keep patching and repairing. So we're going to try that on these 3 first ones and see how that works. If it works good, then we will use it on the next ones we replace, and that way we won't have to continue to mulch those or do anything with them for a minimum of 15 years.
That Americans Recovery and Reinvestment Act, when the economy kind of turned down, if you recall it a few years ago, we got some special monies, and part of it did put those softer playgrounds in there and gave a little more access to some handicapped students and that sort of thing. Was some of it came through special education, but getting to the end of that life cycle, that's what we're running into.
These rubber perforated mats are also ADA accessible. So we'll make it so a wheelchair can be rolled across very easily, or whatever the disability may be.
Make me feel really good. Tell me about John Coleman.
John Coleman is going to be ready. The move is ready. I have an entire list of scheduling things that are happening. We've already started on the 21st. We start computer installation, 28th, library furniture arrives. We'll relocate all the stored library books and those things in. Classroom furniture, 11/28, 12/12. We're moving kindergarten and fifth grade stuff to 11 classrooms, 12/13. 13 classrooms, first through fourth. 12/14, 13 classrooms, second and third, special ed. And this continues all through the month of December, and on 1/8/17, we will have the open house at 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
In other words, you really have no idea, you're just guessing, is that right? Oh, what a guy.
It'll be there. It'll be ready to go.
All right, that's great to know. Anything else?
As far as the repurposing, are you good to go with repurposing the old structure, utilizing some of it for hands-on science and?
Yes, we're working on that. We're also, Mr. Reed and I are working on a lease for Mid-Cumberland Head Start.
Good.
And we will get that put together pretty soon, bring that forward for the board to approve. Also, we're going to put one room of our maintenance, get it out of Smyrna Primary and get rid of that portable that has been on the landscape there for years.
It's a monument, isn't it?
Yes. And so there's several things, but it's all coming together, and we'll work pretty good as far as it's looking right
It's
now.
been an amazing process considering you've had, all your students, teacher, and parents all having to still find a way into the old campus. And so it's been amazing you've been able to organize it, and they've been very cooperative in their patience with the construction too.
Well, we're, Trey Lee's done an extra special job up there. He's been everything from a traffic cone to a project manager. We've had him dressed in orange out there directing traffic, all kind of things like that. So he's done an excellent job of coordinating. Very difficult project to coordinate, but he's done very well on it.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
While we're on the subject of capital improvements, I'll go ahead and share then. I have one of those good news, bad news things. I'd had a constituent that had reached out to me a couple of weeks ago. A gentleman is actually very active in the Oakland Middle and High School Booster Club for the swim teams. And I reported it to Mr. Clardy. Apparently there was a leak coming from somewhere, and they were very concerned about the pool flooding other areas of the school. And I just want to thank Mr. Clardy, first of all, for getting on it very quickly, as he always does. And from what I understand, and Mr. Clardy, I know you'll correct me if I'm wrong, that they did find a problem. I believe you said it was the tank that is leaking, and it is going to have to be replaced. And so, but apparently it's an expense that's high enough that it will have to be bid out. So I just thought that was noteworthy, especially given the cost that we're going to be looking at to replace that.
And we're not sure what the bids will come back at. We have some initial bids, and I really don't want to throw them out now because of the process is going on.
Right, if you don't mind me asking, Mr. Clardy, what is the deadline then for the bids to come back, and what would we be visualizing as far as potential timeline in having it repaired?
I'd say it's going to be 30 days at least. We're in the process of writing a spec for it right now. It'll have to be advertised for 10 days, and then it'll bid, and then we'll decide, and then we'll have to order it. So it could be 60 days, but we have made arrangements over there at this time to protect it. If the filtration tank blows, then we will have the water contained so it doesn't destroy the gym floor or any of those surrounding areas. So
Great, I know that's what their big concern was, so, and the kids are going to be able to continue to swim.
yes, right now.
Thank you.
Any other general discussion by board members? If not, we will meet tomorrow night, 5 o'clock. And remember your duties there with the discipline packets. and your mail this week to the Tennessee School Board. If there's nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you so much.